nice. There's only 3 of them, but they're giving us a right mighty round of applause. I nearly said the clap, but I wouldn't be so rude. OK, welcome back. I am Stanford Chidge, and of course you are watching, and hopefully you are listening to the Chelsea Football FanCast, and it is time to have a look back at the match that we played against Hull on Saturday, and it saw Chelsea go top of the table, if only for a day. But it was nevertheless very enjoyable in spite of that. Now, of course, we don't have him here, do we?
We don't.
We don't. But before we get to him, we're going to have a bit of stingage. Stingage! I've got to say, you see, Rick is a professional. The man is a professional. He immediately got into the spirit of that, and he
kind of the timpani.
He did. He played. You see, we normally do bongos later on. We have a sting where we do bongos, but you immediately went into the timpani.
I'm a percussionist. I'm a drummer.
I like that.
That wasn't on the list that you read out earlier.
It wasn't. Okay, so I'll amend that to Rick Glanville, author, genealogist, urban mythologist, and
occasional professional drummer.
And on timpanis, Rick Glanville.
Funny enough, I played the trumpet when we did that the first time. Yeah, but you paid no attention to me whatsoever.
That's because I wasn't looking at you. No, I wasn't. But don't. It doesn't mean I don't like you.
Make a fanfare out of that.
Yeah. OK, well, unfortunately, we've tried to waste as much time as we could, but unfortunately, I now have to talk about football. And of course, when we talk about football on this here show, the first thing we start with is something that my great friend Ross Mooring, who will forever be known as Morero from now on, he comes up with some ratings, because what he does, he gets his spreadsheet out, and he drinks lots of latte. He should really be an Arsenal fan. But that's the kind of thing he comes up with. I have to be really honest with you and say that these are not really Ross's. I nicked these off Sky Sports because Ross has been away. I don't know, what's he been doing, Pat?
He's been up in Birmingham this weekend.
OK, I'll leave it at that, I think.
Yeah. But Ross wouldn't have done them like this. Ross wouldn't have given Oscar 6. He wouldn't have given
that's because I did them. Well, I did them with Sky. Yeah, I know, but I kind of embellished.
They're all Liverpool fans.
They're not right either.
But they don't. Even on Match
the Liver Pundits.
Liver Pundits, I like that.
They trotted out, was it?
OK, enough. I mean, what I would like to say about this from the start is that, of course, Luiz was in defensive midfield again, which is interesting, as we all know, with Ramirez. Mikel missed the start because apparently he was away trying to win the African Cup of Nations Footballer of the Year.
He did.
To Yaya Toure.
For the third year running.
I know, which I felt for him. I felt for him a bit.
I think he was the only one of the 3 there. I'm not sure.
I suppose they won the African Nations.
OK, excuse me a minute. Excuse me. Hang on.
Exactly.
Pause and rewind.
Yeah.
Jonathan Kidd strikes me as the kind of person who would turn up for an award ceremony. Rick Glanville strikes me as the kind of person that would turn up for an award ceremony. I am the kind of person that would turn up for an opening of an envelope. So,
we're all a bit desperate.
If you turn up, if you make that effort to turn up, you do it in the expectation that you're going to win. We did that for that award that we went up to in Stockport.
Blogging Awards,
I swear to God, the only reason we won the Football Blogging Awards Best Podcast of the Year is that we could be bothered to turn up to Stockport. You know, so I actually feel very sorry for Mikel. He made all that effort to go to wherever it was in Africa, and they didn't even have the decency to give him the award. Well, terrible.
I sat with Paul Canaville in 2009 at the Sports Book Awards, and we were amazed when we won the award for Black and Blue, which Paul's book.
Great book.
Which won that, and totally unexpected. And I remember walking up there thinking, you can't go up and say in your speech, well, totally unexpected.
Quite right.
What everyone said. But it was.
Right. Yeah. Even Steve McQueen did that last night, winning the film, didn't he?
To be fair, though,
it's the best film in the world, somebody has said. Is one of the, and so he goes, why have I possibly won this?
To be fair,
I've been needing to make this for years. For 100 years, this should have been made.
Exactly.
Totally unexpected.
400 years, get it right. To be fair, though, I mean, when we won our award, I actually was flummoxed, because I just thought, who on earth would vote for us, for goodness sake?
You weren't short for words, were you, at the speech?
I was, actually. I was. No, seriously, I was. But I had a lot to drink. Anyway, we should move on. Can we go back to the wonderful graphic of Wass's Waitings? And he gave the legend that is Petr Cech
the omniscient Sky.
6? Yeah, he gave 6. No, let me read them out, and then we can argue about them in a minute. Cech gets 6, Aspie 7, Cahill 6, Terry 7, Cole 6, Louise 7, Ramirez 7, Will.i.am 7, Oscar 6, Hazard 8, and Torres 7. Now, the other thing, Rick made a mention of this earlier on, actually, but we did start with 4 Brazilians, which I like. And I've got another interesting fact for you, actually. This is a very, very interesting fact in view of the fact that we were playing against no less a team than Hull City Tigers. OK, now, not a lot of people know this. This is a very interesting chidge fact. But I played for a team for 10 years called Ropley Tigers. How about that? I thought you'd like that. Yeah, they're astonished. They're so astonished, they're like... They've lost the will to speak. Yeah, they were a great team, Ropley Tigers.
Really?
We used to get beaten 30-0 regularly.
What area of...
Hampshire.
Amersham.
Hampshire. That small part of London known as Hampshire, Jonathan.
I bet you had a ceremony where you earned your stripes, didn't you?
Oh, I never did, sadly. No.
You did have one.
No, I did. Once I did win I won an award there. But it was basically an award for the person who didn't complain a lot for being sub most of the season.
Totally unexpected.
Yeah, it was, actually, and totally undeserved. Anyway, so we should move on, really, and talk about why we think Ross has got it wrong this week. I mean, to be honest, I actually think that that's actually quite fair, to be fair. I know that sounds like a tautology and all the rest of it, but...
Torres should never have got 7.
No, I agree with that.
Do you know what my reasoning for giving Torres 7 was?
He scored a goal?
Yes. He got an extra point for scoring a goal. He got an extra point for scoring a goal.
That was a really terrific goal, but he was just so off the...
Well, the 4 touches he took for his goal were probably 50% of the touches he took in the game.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Pablo.
That was a brilliant goal.
It was.
Yeah.
I agree
brilliant goal.
Completely.
Dressed the ball, con the defender. Bruce didn't know what to do. Great finish.
I agree completely.
Perfect
Alex the Bruce.
striker's goal.
I agree completely.
But, look, you've sat in press boxes and seen how they work out these numbers.
I've been too busy getting the free sandwiches at the back, to be honest.
It's a joke. It's fag packet, back of a fag packet.
It's make it up as you go along.
He didn't do... I've seen these people from the tabloids, you know, he didn't do very much, did he?
I don't like him, I'll give him 4.
There was that assist. Oh, yeah. I won't give him 5, I'll give him 8. Yeah. You know,
it's nonsense, isn't it?
The terrible truth is that no one should give it any credence, but actually footballers do care about it. If they get a 5 when they think they should have had a 7, it irks them. So
here's the thing, actually, Rick. This is a great segue, because when the Reverend Boswinger and some other bloke on Twitter, Astro Boy, I think his name is, because I do remember, this is the point. You know, when they slag us off and saying our sound is absolutely shonky, it hurts. It cuts deep, because I read these ratings. I do. I take them seriously. So don't slag us off if we're a bit shonky, all right? Because we get upset.
I was in Aladdin at Watford Palace.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Oh, no, you weren't.
Oh, yes, I was. I played Simple Simon.
Did you really?
Brilliant.
Exactly.
Fantastic. No, I can now see it. With a little thing, with a little...
I didn't know. I had kind of Robin Hood-like hat, you know, with a feather.
You had a pointy hat?
It said, and I had a pie. And every time somebody went for the pie, all the audience had a shout-out.
You ate all the pies! You ate all the pies!
The review I got was, Jonathan Kidd has no idea what he's doing on stage. I've remembered that.
Yeah,
and
but
it was 50 years ago.
You should see what they say.
You're supposed to say. You're supposed to say no.
You don't know that.
No, you don't exactly. You didn't say it.
I didn't.
I'll say it for you.
You should see what they write about you when you've been on here, mate. Anyway, I'll leave you with that thought.
Thank you for that thought.
Okay,
good.
Let's talk. We've wasted 8.5 minutes. Hey, you did that last week, and it actually was quite funny. To be fair,
it wasn't funny this week.
No, it's because you're sitting here.
Okay. Can you just leave his pie alone, please?
Yeah.
He's sensitive about his pie.
What kind of a piles is it?
Pie.
Sorry, pie. Okay. All right.
No L.
Okay, let's have a vote.
Don't touch Simon's piles.
Hands up, anybody who would like to talk about football. Okay, that's... Okay! Even Harry's put his hand up. I think we should talk about some football. I know we've managed to waste 9 minutes so far, so it's all right. We only have 10 minutes to talk about football. I've got to say about the game, though, you know, it was classic Jose. 0-0 at half-time. We go 1-0 up, and we started to pick them off. And I have to be honest, in the minute it went 1-0, I'm just looking at that photo of Jose, actually. That's mental, isn't it? It's like, ha-ha! You know, it is, though. We go 1-0 up. The result is never in doubt. I mean, you were there, Rick. I mean, did you, at any moment in that game, think that we weren't going to come away with a result?
No. I think we're in the old Ancelotti good moment, because...
We are in a good moment.
For the last 3 weeks, we've been in a situation where we're much stronger defensively, and that is such a reassurance to all Chelsea fans that we just don't really concede opportunities, let alone goals.
The blocking has improved 50%.
Well,
100%.
I think it's starting further up the pitch. We look more coherent as a team. We're being a little bit more efficient with our goals. OK, we didn't get one in the first half. We had a few opportunities. Hazard, I said when Jose came back, I felt there'll be certain projects that he would work on. And I thought one of them would be the Eden project.
Is that when they were doing their training down in Cornwall?
I felt that he would want to get inside Hazard's head and say, you are our Ronaldo. Yeah. You're the explosive, game-changing player that Chelsea have needed for a little while. And I think we're seeing that being established. I think also he probably wanted a similar kind of response out of Mata, but Juan Mata, we all love him, but at the moment, when you saw the way that team played at the weekend, who does he replace? Who do you remove from that three?
Because they're working so well
to make a place for Juan Mata.
Really.
And in fact, Jose cleverly said, had it gone a bit further without a goal, so say 60 minutes, 70 minutes, Mata would have been the first one on. That wasn't the case. So he didn't come on. But his time will come.
You know what? I think most Chelsea support... I mean, I know there are a lot of Burks that I see on Twitter and Facebook, but I mean, I'm afraid that is indicative of what those forums are. But, most Chelsea supporters that I know go to the games with, drink with and all the rest of it, kind of accept that. And what they accept is the logic of what Jose Mourinho brings to the table. And here is a fantastic, tactically astute manager who it's all about winning. I mean, I'll give you an example here. This is quite funny. I went into Football FanCast earlier today, and one of the guys that runs it is a Spurs fan, and he immediately starts giving me you're playing really boring football. I said, yeah, it's great, isn't it? I said, and here's why it's great.
It's rubbish, though.
Yeah, but I know it's
always been rubbish.
I know it's rubbish, but the point is this. Here's why it's great, Martin, because you are focusing on the fact that we're playing boring football. So if you're focusing on that, that means that we're going to win stuff.
What do you mean we're winning?
Because, and here's the thing, Martin, as a Spurs fan, you sound like an Arsenal fan. What's wrong with you?
We get denigrated a few weeks ago for playing boring football in a 0-0 draw against a team that didn't have a shot on goal against us. So.
No, absolutely right.
It's what you want, though. If you want to win a title, you've got to grind out results. And do you know what? Personally, I don't know what the boys on the table think, but I mean, if we win every single match for the rest of the season 1-0, I'd be happy. Because you know what? We will probably win the title if we do.
But Chich, that was not a grind. I mean, if you looked at the tactical, it wasn't at all. If you look at what Bruce, who is, despite the critics, he does think about the game. He made 2 or 3 tactical changes to try and cope with us, and he couldn't. Now, that's not boring football by any measure. I mean, people said that the Arsenal-Chelsea match was boring. I didn't find that boring at all.
It was wonderful.
I thought it was fantastic. 2 very good teams. Absolutely. 2 very good teams going locking.
Cracking game. I've got to move on because,
idiots if they think that.
Unfortunately, I talked so much twaddle at the beginning, we've run out of time for football. And now, actually, ironically, I'm interested in talking about the football. But we did talk about Hazard. And I'll just say one thing about Hazard is that apparently he's been practising doing exactly what he did during the games. And of course, that's his 12th goal in the Premier League. And I agree. I mean, basically what I'm saying is I agree with you, Rick. I think if you're going to choose anybody to be the main player of that team, it's got to be Hazard rather than Mata. What I'd like to talk about is Torres. We touched upon this a minute ago. Back-to-back goals in the Premier League. It was a decent effort. He worked hard. It wasn't a great game, 200th appearance. But, is it his fault? Is it the service and the tactics he gets as a lone striker? I kind of get the feeling with Torres, which is a bit of a weird thing to say, but and actually a laudable thing to say about him when you consider his status in the game. But it seems to me that, weirdly, he's accepted his role and his fate in the team. He kind of gets that he is not the Fernando Torres at Liverpool, that he's going to miss more than he gets, but he's prepared to basically play the donkey work up front. It's a bit of a lonely job that he has. We've got a weird midfield that plays the way it does, and it's almost like he's making up the numbers, but he does it willingly. And I actually, to be frank, I applaud that. I think that says a lot about the man and the fact that he's prepared to subsume his own ego for the benefit of the team. What do you think about that, boys?
He has opportunities when he could actually be almost paying more attention. I think he loses concentration. He's very easily dispossessed. And
he's not. He's like making sound like one of the dispossessed, Jonathan. I don't think it's that bad.
It's a strange one though, because I don't think you find almost any striker in world football wouldn't score a lot of goals playing that team.
Yeah, well,
the team would win
because of the pattern
and they can look play. But the way that they play, he's not necessarily there to be the goal scorer.
Anticipate. There are moments when you think this training ground stuff. You know somebody's going to whip the ball into the penalty area, and he stands, and you think, "Come on, make a move! Come on, this is ridiculous."
Okay, quickly, what are the benches thing? Is there any kind of? Is there? I think this is the technical term for this. Is there any movement on Mixler about Torres at the moment? Chadder, what are they saying?
No, not about Torres at the moment. I've just asked the question though. Are we or can we win the league this year? And the majority of them say that we can, but there's not so many that say we will. So,
no, that's a fair point. I think I wouldn't be prepared to say that we will, but I reckon we can. Right, very quickly, because I know we've only got a couple of minutes left, and Greg's already getting very excited in the gallery about me running over. We can't not discuss this match and not mention Petr Cech, who I don't want to pull the rug from under our Stato's feet, but there we go. Cech, you see, the thing is, Cech's in that photograph, he's got to 5, and he's like saying, I can't count how many clean sheets I've got because there are now 2,009. 209.
He'd probably have more of them if he had 209 fingers.
He would.
He was just trying to get his glove on.
I think he was. Yeah. But he's also got 150 clean sheets in the Premier League. I mean, the bottom line is
153.
What a is it? They were all saying 150 on the telly.
Wrong.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Paul
You
Dudley,
are the
official
historian.
Chelsea statistician, says it's 153,
All right.
so that's good enough for me.
Hang on a minute. Whoa.
We count them slightly differently to the way that the Premier League does.
Okay, hang on. Referral, Stato, Chelsea Chadder. We got a bit of a steward's inquiry here.
No, I agree with Rick. I do it the same way the club have as well. Yeah,
I like that.
So if he plays in a game rather than if he comes off and there's a goal after.
Okay, all right. But bottom line is, number one,
he's brilliant.
Absolute legend for that. He's now beaten Bonetti's record. That is massive. Now, here's the thing.
Much fewer games as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, is he our best ever, Rick?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
And from you, that carries a lot of weight.
I love Catty. I know him very well. He's, I adored him when I was growing up. And he was fantastic for us over
I played in crap sides, to be fair.
He did. And quite often it was, it was a tougher environment for him to get clean sheets than it was for Petr Cech. Nevertheless,
facing
Petr
some
Cech
of those centre forwards in those days, I would have soiled my sheets quite a lot.
But Petr Cech as well. He's played, in Champions League, and he's been a hero.
Higher level of football.
So many times. He gets criticised unfairly, I think. He's kicking, actually. Ironically, his kicking is getting quite bad to almost Bonetti levels. Because anyone who remembers, John, you remember Peter Bonetti's kicking was terrible, wasn't it?
Yeah.
If there was a strong wind, it wouldn't make it out of the way
harder.
Those balls were so heavy, though. They were heavy in those days.
But that's why Bonetti became a better goalie when he started to throw the ball out, roll it out, and it built from the back. But look, they're both icons. They're both legends. They're both fantastic. It's up to the individual who saw them both play to decide whether.
Very quick question: how long do you think he should or could go on for, Rick?
Well, it's a big issue because you've got Courtois, who's possibly arguably the best young goalkeeper in the world at the moment. We have a big issue in the summer. Does he come back and does he compete? Do you say? I think Jose should say, as he did with Kudicini and Cech originally when he first came in. I don't know which of you two is the best. Let's throw it up in the air.
Duke it out. It's a fight about it. Put him in a boxing ring.
And in fact, if you look at what Courtois is saying now, it's virtually what Cech was saying in 2004. Yeah. I'm not coming there to be a number 2. I'm coming there to be given a fair crack of the whip.
Nobody would say that, to be fair. Nobody would say that.
Some people would.
No, well, then they wouldn't be the goalie for me if they said that.
I agree.
We've got to go because, annoyingly, now it's got really interesting. We have to go to a break. But that is the Chelsea Fancast for you, writ large in black and white. But we will be back in a nanosecond to talk about the fannies.